Hi guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Let's Talk About It podcast. Video podcast? Podcast? I still haven't downloaded this audio. So it's just a video podcast and a YouTube channel right now. What do we want to call it? We'll just call it a video podcast. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk About It. I'm your host, Leah Suzette Newmoff, and tonight we are talking about self-worth. And this week in the Full Circle Wellness community, if you haven't heard me talk about that yet, I have a private Facebook community. I'm building a community centered around health and wellness and healing journeys. And this week in the community, we're talking about self-worth. Guys, it's a big topic. And this is something that actually means a lot to me because for the longest time, and particularly at the beginning of my own health journey, I had zero self-worth, you guys. So my biggest triggers, we're just diving right in here. Actually, I take that back. Let's take just a quick pause for this super cute little shirt that I got today. It says, "Stay Wild, Moonchild." I love that phrase, and the brand is Spiritual Gangster, which this is not an ad. I just really love that brand. They have the cutest athleisure and loungewear, and I'm super obsessed with their clothes. So I love that I got this super cute little crop tank in this limey green. It's so off color palette for me. Even this blue sweater, very off color palette for me. I'm typically more of a fall winter color palette person, but I'm loving these bright vibes for the spring weather that's been coming around and feeling the warmness and all of the changes coming back around in the earth. I just love connecting to the change of the seasons and celebrating, for instance, Imbolc and Yule and Samhain and Beltane, celebrating the turns of the cycles of the season. So just been diving into all of those spring vibes this weekend. I sat down and did some spring crafts. I got these little wooden eggs. Actually, one of my very, very best friends, she gave me the idea to get these little wooden eggs. And we did, actually forever ago, we did this macrame project where we got terracotta pots and we painted them white, and we did a whole Mod Podge situation with these napkins, and it made this really pretty result with these floral patterns and stuff like that. And now I still have those pots, and she was like, "Girl, I did this with these little wooden eggs. It's so cute. I decorated the table." And I was like, "I gotta do that too." So I did that this weekend and also decorated some little pots. And I am really big on my garden in the spring and the summer. So I'm just kind of getting ready to do all of that this year. And I've been making a plan for what I'm going to plant and where it's going to go. Because we have kind of, so the front side of our home is, sun rises in the east, sets in the west. Yes. Eastern side, western side. So most of the sun in our house is on the backside. So the garden goes there because it needs to get most of that sunlight. But anyway, that's where I'm at this week. It's just been a wild week. Last week, guys, I've talked about this so much in my community, and I talk about it on my social channel. I have what's called PMDD. It's premenstrual dysphoric disorder. So when I'm in luteal, it's just, God, it's a whole thing. And actually, it's a pretty serious thing. Most of my mental health issues stem from having premenstrual dysphoric disorder. In hindsight, I have probably had that since the onset of my cycle, but I didn't get that diagnosis until I was 32 years old. And some of the symptoms of premenstrual dysphoric disorder are severe depression, anxiety, and then of course heightened PMS symptoms. But I had no idea that that was a part of my life. And I just thought that I was severely depressed and I had anxiety, and I didn't recognize until later on in my life that it was actually a symptom of something else. And now with that diagnosis, I can treat in a completely different way and deal with and manage my depression and my anxiety in a totally different way. And of course, something like that is exacerbated by having things like childhood trauma or growing up in the kind of home environment that I grew up in, where there was just a lot of arguing and a lot of loudness and a lot of sort of chronic feelings of uncertainty. And so to kind of loop back to where I just took a tangent, you guys will get to know me. I love a tangent. Sometimes I don't even do it on purpose. Today we took a little backtrack, had to do a little catch up, and now we're just back on it, okay? So we're talking about self-worth, and that actually loops right into having premenstrual dysphoric disorder. So all that to say, I had like a total week last week because I was in luteal, you guys. Luteal. There are memes out there if you want the memes about luteal. They're all true. Anyway, so having something like that is like, you can't, I couldn't. And I thought that I could sort of like out meditate like something as severe as premenstrual dysphoric disorder. Premenstrual dysphoric disorder is not like a hormone imbalance. It's not a hormone intolerance. It's actually classified as a mood disorder. And what it is like my brain and my body have a serious like problem with my hormonal fluctuations, right? Every woman has hormonal fluctuations that go along with her 28-day, sometimes, you know, shorter, longer, depending on the woman, 28-day cycle. And in your luteal phase, after you ovulate, progesterone and estrogen rise together, peak, and then plummet. And then, you know, if you didn't get pregnant, produce a child, you're going to menstruate again. So luteal phase is the latter half of your cycle. And for me, my body does not like those fluctuations. And so my brain processes those changes differently. And that means it also processes folliculation differently and ovulation differently. And what I needed ultimately was to do medication. Now, that's actually a whole other conversation, you guys. I had a lot of like, I'll say anxiety and a lot of like, stigma against taking medication. Believe it or not, I used to think that that was just, nope, I'm not going to do that. That's not for me. I'm never going to take medication. That's for people who, you know, actually have something going on. And it wasn't until I got that diagnosis that I realized, oh my God, that actually I qualify. Like, I do have something going on. I can't, like I said, out meditate or out therapy or out journal a chemical problem. So I do actually have medication as part of my life. But again, that's actually a really big conversation that we should totally have later because I love diving into PMDD. The more that I talk about that with women, the more I realize that a lot of women experience this and they have no idea what's going on. And I'm like, girl, let me tell you about premenstrual dysphoric disorder. Please go look it up. Please talk to your doctor. Now, I will say I had to get that diagnosis with a therapist as well. That wasn't just something that I discussed with my primary care physician, but it was just like having it and understanding and just being armed with that knowledge actually improved my sense of self-worth. You see what I did there? We're just gonna segue right on in, you guys. Okay, so like I said, my sense of self-worth used to be completely in the gutter. And that's because I was extremely depressed. Depression is something that I've just always dealt with, at least since I was about 12 years old. Anxiety has been something that I've been dealing with. I would say anxiety really probably creeped in around high school. And I'm gonna blame high school for that because let's face it, high school girls are bitches, okay? And the people, I went to an all-girls high school and it was just, there was no exception. There was a lot of camaraderie and there was a lot of like really good friendships and stuff like that, but there was also a lot of drama, as you can imagine. And of course, when you're in high school, I mean, I look back at myself and I'm like, oh honey, like I just wish I could go back and tell her to be more authentic. And we talked about that last week in terms of getting to know yourself and being authentic with yourself. But it's just like, if I could go back and just tell her, like, don't try to fit in, like just stop trying to fit in, be yourself and find where you belong instead of trying to fit in, I think things would have been better. But you know, we don't have time machines and that's just what high school was. And I think the anxiety of like, oh my God, what outfit am I gonna wear to the punk emo show? You guys, I was like an emo kid. Do I look like I was an emo kid? Probably not, but I was a total emo kid in like literal, you know, like I said, dealing with depression and just being like quite literally despondent all the time, but also just like in my music taste and kind of like the clothes that I wore. I was always with like the tight jeans. I had the like the bangs, like just bangs, just hanging out. My hair was purple, it was red, it was pink, like I had all kinds of things going on. And I even had like a lip piercing. You guys, I used to have my lip pierced. You probably can't see it on camera and I'm not going to get close enough for that, but you can actually still see the like hole / indentation from where I had like a nose ring, tons of ear, like it was a whole phase. If you didn't have that phase, you tell me, because I feel like everybody had that phase, okay? So anyway, this week, in terms of talking about self-worth, what we're actually going to talk about and what I actually really want to kind of like hit you guys with are, I came up with 6 ways to sort of better cultivate self-worth in your life. And on the blog this week, I'm also talking about it. I've got like actually a little bit of a longer list, and I condensed it here for the show tonight just so that we can kind of, consolidate things and have like a full conversation. And if you guys want the like written details, head over to the blog. I'll link it out in the show notes on the website. And then also, again, head over to the community. Join us, you guys. Join us. It's like a cult, not really. It's just a lovely group of individuals who are all on healing journeys, all just working to get better and all interested in personal development. And they are in some way working on their health and their overall wellness. And I love it. I'm so glad that I started it. So I would love for you to join if that's of interest to you. So 6 ways that you can cultivate a better sense of self-worth. And I came with notes because you guys know me. Like I said, we'll be on a tangent in 2 minutes if I don't have a guide. So practice number 1, practice compassion with yourself. Compassion is one of the 8 C's of self. We talked about this in our big talk on internal family systems therapy, the idea of the self, the sort of you that is you, the God center that is you. Compassion is one of those 8 C's of self, and that idea that there are no bad parts, right? So you come up as the self, you show up as the self, and you have compassion for all of those parts of yourself. Like I talked about last week, I have a part of me that's an addict that started, 13 years old with self-harm, with cutting practices. And eventually, of course, that evolved as I became an adult into drinking and drug use. And I mean, it has also looked for me like doom scrolling and sitting in front of Netflix and just all kinds of different things, binge eating. Like it's just been a lot. But that part of me shows up in a bunch of different ways. But even though I don't like those things, even though I'm like, God, that's the worst part of me, those are the worst habits, I have to look at that part of myself as myself with compassion and say, that part of me was just trying to help. That part of me was trying to help the other part of me, the exiled part of me that was getting triggered. And my biggest triggers, like I was going to kind of just jump in right at the beginning of the conversation, my biggest triggers have always been that I'm not enough, that I'm not worthy, or just flat out worthless. Like just thinking of myself as someone who's completely worthless, that I am not lovable, that I'm too much. And so all of those things, when I get triggered in that way, something that makes me feel, God, I'm not enough. Like I didn't, get the job, or like I didn't, show up in the way that I wanted to, or I go somewhere and I have a time with friends or something like that. Let's say I go out, I will get in the car afterwards and think to myself like, oh my God, did I do it right? Did I show up right? Was I'll get this anxiety like, oh, did I say something weird? Because sometimes I'll get like really comfortable and start like totally being myself. Right here, right now, when we're doing this, it's a little weird for me. I'm still getting used to being like on a camera and seeing myself do this and being like doing the whole thing. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing with my hands? Oh my God, I'm scratching my neck and my face and whatever. But I'm also just trying to show up and be completely authentic with you guys and just be myself. And sometimes I'll get off of here and I'll be like, oh my God, did I do it right? Did I show up right? And I'm like, you know what? I showed up. And that's what matters. That's where the compassion comes in. It's like, honey, say it like you would say it to a friend. You showed up. You did the thing. You're in the arena now. You're just doing it. You're not going to get it right. It's not going to be perfect. It's going to evolve over time. It's going to get better over time. So just showing up and having some compassion for yourself. Nothing is ever going to look perfect. Maybe let's flip this on its head and turn it onto like a health and wellness journey. Okay, let's say, because this used to be a thing for me. I can't tell you how many times I've done like some kind of yo-yo diet thing. I've tried like the Atkins or the keto, or like I got into running for a minute, or I did, this diet or that diet, something I found on Pinterest, like some kind of 8-day challenge, like something, until, I did a lot of deeper healing work and then learned how to actually take care of my health and wellness and my fitness and my nutrition and stuff like that. But prior to that, it was a lot of yo-yo. It was a lot of like, it was that perfectionism showing up. It was that like, okay, I'm going in and I got to get this right, like day 1, day 2, day 3, and then day 4. Something goes wrong and I like don't get the workout, or I eat the snack and I'm just like, ooh. you piece of shit, like you're worthless, you're never gonna get it, you're just like totally fucking up. And then having that black or white attitude that it's all or nothing, and then just completely giving up right then and there. That is not what self-compassion looks like, guys. That is what shame looks like. You cannot shame yourself through an evolution. You cannot shame yourself to change. You have to love yourself through an evolutionary process. Okay. So if you are trying to make a change, if that's in fitness, if it's in health, if it's in healing, if you're like trying to do deep internal work, you've got to love yourself through that change. You've got to love yourself through that evolution. You cannot shame your way to becoming a new person. You have to lovingly let go of like the version of you that you don't want to be anymore, and then just start lovingly showing up with compassion for the new version of yourself. And compassion means, honey, you're doing something new. You're becoming new. You're gonna fuck up. You are gonna like trip up somewhere. You're still gonna have the snack. You're still gonna forget to do the workout. You're still gonna forget to stretch. You're still gonna like, oh damn, I didn't drink enough water by the end of the night. We got the water here, guys. We're going strong. I'm on bottle number 3. I drink 4 of these a day. That's my goal daily, is just to do 4 of those. It's 32 ounces a piece. That's neither here nor there, but have a nice look at my cute little orange bottle with the art on it. You guys, Amazon. Anyway, you show up and you keep showing up and you give yourself grace. Compassion looks like giving yourself grace. When you are new and you're becoming new, particularly if you're on a journey to something like that and changing and healing, you got to give yourself that compassion. It's going to boost your sense of self-worth because you're not being hard on yourself. You're not harping on yourself. You're not shaming yourself. You're telling yourself through the action of self-compassion that I'm worthy of that compassion. I'm worthy of that love. I'm worthy of trying and failing. I'm worthy of taking the path. I'm worthy of doing the work. And self is going to show up and support me. Okay, number 2. This is similar. Keep promises to yourself. If you tell yourself you're going to go to the gym 3 days a week, God damn it, go to the gym 3 days a week. And if you think 3 days a week is still too much, you're at the beginning of your journey, tell yourself it's going to be 2 days a week. Don't start your journey off with these crazy lofty goals, okay? I have always wanted to sit down and start this podcast, but when I started my journey, I had to start with therapy, you guys. I had to start with getting into there and doing that internal work and meeting those demons and just like getting that self-compassion mixed around. I had to start somewhere else. I couldn't start with the lofty dream because I didn't have the confidence, the self-worth, the courage, because quite frankly, I'm not confident at this yet. I'm still figuring it out. We're still on my cell phone. The technology is still not working, but we're still going. It is just the courage to show up and be in the arena every night, or not every night. Obviously, I'm not filming this every night. Every week, once a week. We're here once a week right now. Maybe one day that'll change and we'll do just like a little bit more because I've got a lot of stuff that I want to talk about. And I keep growing the list of episode ideas, you guys. So stick around because I'm going to be here for a long time. Okay? So it's just the idea of keeping that promise to yourself. I tell myself, I promise myself, and I'm also promising, I think, my younger self, I'm promising little Leah that we're going to do this. This is something that little Leah wanted. Little Leah wanted to show up and be this creator. And for the longest time, that took the form of just being an artist. A lot of the art that's around me is mine. This is mine. This is mine. Some of those are photos. That's somebody else's. I can hardly kind of tell what's going on behind me. There's a pile of art over here that's mine. I showed up for the longest time as a visual artist. I went to art school, like I graduated, I got the degree, like I did the whole thing. And somehow that still wasn't the path, which is wild to me because I spent so much of my life on that path. But how many of us spend our lifetime on a path? And it's funny because I didn't even take the traditional path. You know, most parents want you to go to school and go to business or do, you know, be a doctor or do something in science or something in STEM. Everybody loves STEM. That's like, I'm not shitting on STEM. STEM is amazing, but it's just not me. I'm more of the like arts and, you know, literature and all of that jazz. And I just love a little bit of academia and a little bit of study and philosophy and psychology and, you know, whatever. But you know, I didn't take the traditional path to begin with, and yet I still was on a traditional path. Like I graduated high school, I went to college, I got the degree, I got a job that didn't suit me until I finally got a creative job, and then I got there. It's like, woo, guys, I climbed the mountain, I'm there, I got there, and then I still wasn't feeling like a sense of purpose. I still wasn't fulfilled. It was just like, I'm showing up and I'm like, this is just, I just got to pay the bills and this is just what I'm good at. And so now I'm shifting again and I'm starting to lean into this exactly what we're doing right here. This sort of, we'll call it a side hustle if you want to, but this like this passion project, this thing that I don't have to do. I have a job, you know, I pay my bills, but what I want is to show up in service of the world. I want to take the things that I'm learning and share that with you guys, because that's almost like selfish to not share. Okay? I still feel like we're on a tangent. Keep your promises to yourself. Show up. I'm showing up and I want you to show up for whatever it is. If you are telling yourself you're going to go to the gym, if you're telling yourself you're going to stop eating sugar, that's so hard. That's one that I had to do that as well. That's like, I still will eat like a little something here or there, but for the last 90 days of last year, I actually cut zero, like all the way down to zero, didn't have any sugar. Very, very difficult. Definitely, like, you see a lot of body changes if you do that. And then I tried to have a slice of pie at Christmas because I had like made it and I was like, oh, I can't eat this. Oh my God, that's a lot. And it was pecan pie. You guys love pecan pie, but it was like, just pecan pie is like solid coagulated sugar. It's just like, but it was so much. And now I have like a completely different relationship with sugar. But whatever it is, if it's like, okay, let's say you're going to choose to do sobriety. That's a big one. I've been on that journey myself. That shit is not easy. That is just not an easy choice to make for yourself. That is quite literally becoming a new person almost overnight, because you do have to kind of, I mean, I guess maybe you don't, but my route was to quit cold turkey. Like I just said, you know what, this is the last. I think I had a friend over that night. It was just me and her. We were doing like a little girls' night thing. And I had like 4 or 5 White Claws in the fridge. And I was like, you know what, this is it. Once this is gone, this is the end. And I had those like 4 or 5 White Claws, whatever it was. And then I was like, okay, I'm not going to buy anymore. So it was just like kind of cold turkey for me. And that's not like 100% true, because when I quit drinking, I did not yet quit smoking. So it was just like, it was kind of like a tiered thing. And now I live a completely like 100% sober life. So, but either way, I had to keep showing up for that. I had to sort of like consciously keep that promise to myself. And when you keep your promises to yourself, you are sending the message to yourself again that you are worth keeping the promise to. You keep the promise to your job that you're going to show up at 9 o'clock and work until 5. You keep the promise to your partner that you're going to be there for them when shit goes wrong. Like whatever it is, you keep promises to friends, you keep promises to family. Keep your promises to yourself. If they are worth it, by God, you are worth it. Because we talk about all the time, fill your cup first. Take care of yourself first. Keep your promises to yourself. Non-negotiables. Set your non-negotiables. My non-negotiables these days are drinking this water. My non-negotiables these days are moving my body in some way every day. I have non-negotiables around my sleep, although you guys, I will say, I'm trying to adjust my sleep schedule. I was doing this like 11 o'clock, getting up at 6:45, and it was just like kind of wrecking me. So I was like, okay, we got to choose like a different pattern here. So now I'm trying to go to bed at like a totally different time. Anyway, I've been tired. Like, and it's just, I'm just working on it, but I'm just trying to build a new habit. I'm trying to change the habit. So that's a totally different thing. I'm still like showing up. And at the end of the day, the fact that you show up matters. Another thing for me, when I get up in the morning, even if I'm like running late, and like I said, I've been running late a lot lately because I'm working on the sleep. And I'm also just working out a lot and I'm just really tired. But like I get up and no matter what, no matter how late I'm running, I make sure to like brush my teeth, put on deodorant, pick out an outfit that I like 100%. Like I'm not leaving the closet until I'm cool with the outfit. Like I love an outfit. I'm loving my colors tonight. I'm even loving this little shoulder peep right now. I'm just, whatever, you guys. I do not leave the house until I like the way this looks. If I want to put on makeup, and it's not always like a full face. Sometimes it's just a little mascara. Maybe I'll brush a brow. I don't do a lot of like full face makeup stuff. I just kind of give myself a nice glowy look. I like, I always have my necklaces on, I always have my bracelet stack on, and make sure that my hair is doing something nice. Because here's the thing, at the end of the day, if I don't look a way that I want to look, I will feel like shit. I don't feel good because I'm like, oh, I didn't even give myself the time of day, but I'm showing up and giving all of these other people the time of day. No, give yourself the time of day first. I don't leave the house without giving myself the time of day and making myself look and feel the way that I want to look. And it is as simple as taking care of your hygiene, because how many times have you, in survival mode, and I'm kind of speaking about myself here, how many times have I in the past in survival mode quite literally just was like rolling out of the bed, fuck it, didn't do anything with the hair, no makeup, put on just like whatever, and then like forgot to brush my teeth. And not even forgot, was just like, damn, I don't feel like it. I don't have any moves, I can brush my teeth. Like, just giving up on something as simple as hygiene sends the message to yourself that you are not worth it. And honey, you are worth it. That's what we're talking about here. Baby, you're worth it. You're worth it. Okay, you know the song? I think it's like Fifth Harmony or something. Put it on your playlist. It's great. Okay, number 3, prioritize your inner peace. In a similar way to prioritizing your sort of outward appearance, how you take care of yourself, that like basic hygiene, putting on the outfit, whatever, putting yourself first, prioritize your peace. I got this one from Trent Shelton. I took a course of his a while ago. I was part of this like mastermind platform that Dean Graziosi and I think Tony Robbins that had like put together, and you go in and there's like a ton of courses. And Trent Shelton, I love him. He's got some amazing books. He had this great course on self-worth, and I will totally recommend it. Go find it. Mastermind does cost money, so if that's not something you have access to, don't go like break the bank or whatever for Mastermind and the courses. But it's a really good platform, really great courses and stuff like that. And anyway, Trent Shelton's work is something you can absolutely access for free on Instagram. Go to Amazon, check out the books he's written. And he's got one that talks about protecting your peace. And that's what we're talking about here. For me, I'm just going to use this as like out of the gate example. Every morning I sit down and I do my start today journal practice. I think we talked about that. You do the gratitude at the top. You list your top 10 goals, keeping those front of mind, keep that focus on those 10 goals. And then I flip the pages and I do something that's called morning pages. It is a practice that I picked up from The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. She recommends that you, especially if you're a creative person, that you basically just do a brain dump every morning to like clear the pipes of your brain, get everything out. 3 pages minimum, free form writing, whatever the fuck comes to mind. It could literally be like, damn, I don't have anything to write today, like blah, it's cold and this coffee is hot and I'm really tired and whatever. Like it can be whatever it needs to be. And sometimes as you just keep writing, more stuff comes out or whatever. But every morning that centers me, that grounds me, that gives me time with myself, that gives me time with my parts if my parts need to come up and say something. And that gives me that sense of inner peace that I can then go out into the world with. So that's the idea. Again, tell yourself that you are worthy of that work, of that time, before you just start giving yourself to other people. Give yourself to yourself. Give yourself, and whatever it is. Maybe it's not journaling for you. Maybe it's not the start today practice and the journaling or whatever. Maybe it's prayer. Maybe it's meditation. Maybe it looks like reading a book. Maybe it's as simple as making your breakfast and sitting down with a hot cup of coffee. Like whatever that sort of like morning practice is for you, take that moment of peace for yourself. And if you need to get up, let me tell you this. I have to get up earlier to do this, because if I don't, I get up and my dogs need me and I've got to take them out. And then the next thing you know, I'm cleaning a cage. And then the next thing you know, I'm just doing the feed. And then I'm doing the treats. And then now Bay is up. And then we're having a conversation. And now it's, oh man, it's time to get ready. Like, okay. And I don't have the time. So I get up, make the time. 30 minutes. I don't need to get up crazy early for this. Whatever it needs to be for you. If you need to get up 30 minutes earlier, an hour earlier, some people like an hour. I'm okay with 30 minutes because I write pretty quickly. Just give yourself that time, because you're, again, sending the message to yourself that you're worth the time. And you are absolutely worth the time. And I think the thing that's important to note here is that in the beginning, when you start doing practices to improve your self-worth and cultivate a better sense of self-worth, especially if you're doing therapy, like if it's deep like it was for me, and you need to be doing those therapeutic practices, you need to be working with a psychologist. There's a point where maybe you don't feel like you're even worth the work yet. Like it's gonna take a while. You don't just start like writing down affirmations and then wake up and feel like, oh my God, I'm worthy. Like it takes practice. It takes doing this stuff over and over again to finally feel like, you know what, I'm worth it. Yes, the fuck I'm gonna get up an hour early and do my journaling. Yes, the fuck I'm gonna give myself the time of day to get on an outfit. Like, yes, I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z, whatever it is. Like whatever it is for you, because it's gonna look different for others. It's just gonna look different for everybody. Show up for yourself. Tell yourself that you're worth it. The more that you send the message to yourself and you're sort of like crawling out of that depth of not feeling worthy, because that's what it was for me. I had to just sort of like claw my way out of the hole of feeling like I'm not even worth this work. Like I would rather not show up at all. And I mean, I was in a very, very dark place where I didn't want to continue on with my life anymore. And it was like, if this is what my life has to be, I don't want to do it. So it was a matter of, communicating that to my therapist and, having her tell me, honey, I need you to show up and just do the journaling, do the meditation. It's going to feel blah at first. It's going to be like, God, I don't want to do this. Like, this sucks, because you're still in that place. But as you do it, little by little, it starts to sink in. It creates new neural pathways in the brain, and the brain starts to register like, oh, okay, we're becoming new. We're worth the time. Oh, maybe we are worth it. And then eventually, months down the line, you wake up and you realize, okay, I am worth this work. And then for me, and probably for you too, then you start to realize like, oh, I'm worthy of the work. Let me put in some more work in a different way and show up in an even bigger way for myself. Because when you keep showing up in big ways for yourself, you're just re-solidifying that idea that like you're worth the time and you're worth the effort. The effort. You are worth the work. Okay. All right. Number 4, and this is kind of going on with a lot of the stuff we've already been talking about, but number 4, take care of yourself. You guys, I mean this in the most basic way. I talked about the outfit and taking the time, but this is literally like hygiene. Bathe, brush your teeth, like put on deodorant. I know some people don't believe in deodorant. That's a whole conversation. I'm not gonna judge you. You do you. But hygiene. Get the basics, okay? Drink your water. Eat good food. Please stop fueling yourself with garbage. I hate to like shit on the fast food industry, but we're gonna shit on the fast food industry for a minute here. And the thing is, every place has some options, right? Like you could get like I am obsessed with Chick-fil-A, I'm not gonna lie, you guys. And I know they've got like canceled over the years for several things, but I still love the chicken nuggets, and I'll get a 12-pack with a kale salad, and that's just like my favorite thing in the world. But don't fuel yourself with garbage all the time, right? Like I'm not at Chick-fil-A every night. Here and there, I'm like, okay, guys, I just, I had a really long cycling class and I'm on my way home and I'm not going to cook tonight and I'm just going to pick up some Chick-fil-A. Or, have things prepared. I'm a huge fan of meal prepping. Every Sunday, I spend about an hour to 2 hours prepping meals for myself and for Boo. For me, I do lunches and dinners. And then for him, I usually just do bulk of something because he works from home 3 of 5 days a week. So it's like, okay, got to make something in bulk. He loves like a chicken fried rice or maybe just some Indian or something like that, whatever's going to work for him. Or I'll pre-roll a bunch of burritos that can just be heated in the microwave. But having home cooked food that you made on hand is 10,000 times healthier than stopping at the drive-thru. And as much as I love a Popeye's Cajun fry, I know that it's not great for me. And so I just don't go eat those things. And if I eat those things, it is like a rare freaking occurrence. Base level take care of your body. Your soul is living in this vessel, hopefully for a long time, and you gotta take care of it. Get up and exercise. We are meant to move, guys. We are locomotive. Like, we are moving beings. Get up, take a walk. Even if you can't run or something, take a walk. If you can't get 10,000 steps, take 5,000. If you can't get 5,000, take 2,000. Like, whatever it is, move your body. Stretch. I've talked about it a million times here and in my community and on my social media. I am obsessed with Cycle Bar. I cycle at least 4 nights a week. That's my like exercise of choice. I'm obsessed with cycling. I'm a big spin person. I'm working up my way to like audition to teach. I would love to teach. Like, that would just be so much fun. If you've never taken a Cycle Bar class, guys, it is like the most high energy exercise, but it's also just fun. Like, it doesn't feel like exercise. And I'm in there and I'm jamming, and like sometimes I'm driving and I'm listening to music and I'm on the bike and I'm hearing the beat and I'm like, yep, this is about 87 RPM. We could do like a little dip here. Like, I'm just obsessed, okay? So it's just like, it's a cult. We're like just a little cycling cult. It's fine. But finding something that you actually enjoy is the most important, right? I don't love to run. I used to love to run. Ever since I broke my leg and have knee issues, I don't love to run, and my body doesn't really love for me to run either. So I'm not going to try to force myself to run. I'm going to do what I love and still get my movement in. I love to do some stretching. I'm not fantastic at yoga, but I can still do some very basic stretching, make myself feel good. I love to take a walk. I absolutely love to be in nature. I can walk, all day. We'll take like, 10 miles, whatever. It doesn't matter. I'll go walking for a long time. But it's got to be something that you enjoy. I'm on the fence with weightlifting. Weightlifting makes me feel like a badass, but at the end of the day, if I have to get myself into my gym and do weights, I'm like, oh, guys, I don't want to do this. So, and I work with a fitness coach, and she's like, girl, you need to get into the gym and do your weights because you need to build those muscles because you're eating all this protein. And I'm just like, oh, God, I know it. But it's not my favorite. That's more of a thing that requires discipline. And it's like one of those things where it's like, okay, I show up out of discipline because I know that I'm worthy. I'm worthy of doing this, and that my body needs this. And also, at the end of the day, I still have to do a lot of leg muscle work, not even just for the cycling, but like I said, I broke my leg a couple years ago, and that muscle has just never been the same since. So I do have to constantly kind of like do unilateral leg work to work on that muscle. Otherwise, I might not even be able to walk. So it's like, I'll get that, pain in my knee, and then it's like, dang, like I'm not walking today because I didn't do my strength training. So it's like just recognizing that like this is all part of the process, and that this is something I'm going to have to do always, and that I'm worth it. My body is worth it. It's important. So base level, take care of yourself. Move your body, fuel your body well, drink your water, get sleep. You guys, I can have a whole conversation on sleep. I prioritize my sleep big time. Do not fuck with my sleep. I love to sleep. I have a very comfy bed. And in fact, we just got a new duvet cover. I got this super fluffy, like white, creamy color duvet cover for Boo for Valentine's Day with some pillowcases, and sleeping on it feels like a cloud. And I'm just like, this is wonderful. And I have this giant, what are they called? The Squishmallows, like this little guy right here, the Squishmallows. Her name is Yita. She's a Yeti. There's a whole story. I might have told it. If I didn't tell it here, I know I told it in my community, but, I use her as a pillow. Like, it's, it's a stuffed animal, but I use it as a pillow because it's big, round, kind of like thick thing. And it's great for actually side sleepers. So if you are a side sleeper, get you a Squishmallow, okay? Like one of the big ones. It's fantastic. So I feel like I'm sleeping on a cloud. But anyway, I prioritize my sleep. Again, I'm kind of working on my sleep schedule right now, but it's like prioritizing actually getting good quality sleep, making sure that I'm sleeping at night. I use an app called Better Sleep, not a plug. I just love the app. They do, you have like sleep sounds, like you can do white noise and you can layer white noise, and they have all kinds of like meditations and sleep stories and sleep hypnosis, and I'm obsessed with it. It is a cost. They have a free version, but it does have a cost. But again, not an ad, just something that I like. And they have these meditations that are like a sleep hypnosis, and I'll turn that on at night and it'll help me really like conk out faster. So I know that I'm going to get like really solid sleep if I use that. So I just like use all of my tools. The glasses that I get are blue block lenses, which is actually why I get really terrible glare. I'm going to figure that out one day. I get terrible glare on my glasses, you guys, because they've got the blue blocks and we're working with my phone and whatever. So take care of yourself, prioritize your sleep, prioritize your body, like whatever you need to do. Hygiene, take a shower, like just make yourself feel good. Let yourself know that you're worth the basics, you guys. These are the basics, okay? Yes. Number 5. Okay, number 5. This is a big one. I used to have problems with this. I think most people have problems with this, especially if you have people pleaser tendencies. Number 5, set and keep your boundaries. You guys, for the longest time, I didn't even know what my boundaries were. I didn't have boundaries because, quite frankly, I grew up in a home where there kind of, in hindsight, were no boundaries. Like, it was just kind of like, you always heard somebody talking about something like pretty inappropriate or something that you think like, oh my God, that should probably be private. But it became so normal for it to be, open book. Doors were always open, and if you close your door, it was like, why is your door closed? What are you doing in there? Kind of thing. Like the privacy was, there was no boundary situation. Or even if the door was closed, somebody would just walk right in, and it was just like, I could be naked in here, like whatever. And it was just like, I had no concept of boundaries. And then of course, growing up in an environment like I did, I very much became a people pleaser, where I learned that if I could just shut down all of my needs and take care of everybody else around me, that things would be okay. So then as an adult, I grew up to be the type of person who would avoid conflict. I wouldn't necessarily stand up for myself. I definitely wouldn't start shit with somebody or push against somebody who was, making me feel a certain way. And if I did, I would get extremely, extremely flooded. If you've ever had that feeling, it's really disorienting because it almost makes you want to fall over. Like, it kind of, at least for me, really did feel like an adrenaline rush. It was a blood rush of like, something, I'm getting flooded with an emotion, whether it's anger or fear, or, I've just been triggered. It's sadness, whatever is getting, jostled up is coming up really, really fast. My heart rate just went from 0 to 500, and I'm just like flustered. I immediately start to sweat, and it makes my head spin, and it makes me feel like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And I can think of a really specific example of this. Back at this old job that I had animosity with somebody that was working there. And one time I heard them talking about me, like in the room next to where I was. And like, I know that they knew I was there. So I felt like they were doing it so that I could hear them. And I was like, okay, this person's like intentionally trying to start shit. What do I do? And I was like, you know what? I'm going to stand up for myself. Because at that point, you guys, I had already started like dipping my toe into personal development. So I was like, okay, let's put the big girl pants on and let's go say some shit to this person. So I go around the corner, but I feel that flood come in, and it's like, I know tears are going to come, because when we don't know how to regulate our emotions, when we are not ahead of that, and it's especially been something that we've repressed for a long time, and we don't have tools to deal with that. When our body becomes flooded with emotions, tears are one of the like quickest ways for the body to sort of like try to regulate itself. So don't ever shame yourself for if you're one of those people who like, you get mad or you're in a conversation or whatever and you like immediately start crying. That's actually just your body's way of telling you like, you are so overly loaded right now, and I'm just going to try to let this go in some way. And sometimes it's in the form of like shaking, like your hands will start to shake, or you'll start to breathe heavily or whatever. It comes up in all kinds of different ways. Our nervous system has a lot of sneaky little ways that she likes to try to like regulate herself if you don't do the job of regulating her. So anyway, I go into the room, I'm trying to like confront this person, and I'm just like heaving, the tears are coming, my voice is shaking, but I'm saying, look, I know you're talking about me, and I know you know that I can hear you, and this is inappropriate for work. And that was kind of like the shortness of the message, but it escalated into a whole thing that got the bosses involved, and it was just like, I can't believe this is happening. But it was just one of those moments where I stood up for myself and I set a boundary, and I said like, dude, if you're gonna say something to me, just say it to me. Don't say it to somebody else in earshot of me. and try to start shit. Like, I don't do drama, okay? I used to do drama when I was a kid in high school, and it was like the thing to have drama with some bitch in the class next to you. But as an adult, it's like, I don't want your drama. I don't want the tea. Like, don't come to me with complaints and negativity. Like, I have had people in my life like that. Very recently, I had a friend that was like, just always with the complaints. Like, it was always something to complain about. And I felt like there was a lot of like, we'll call it high horsery. Get off your high horse. This high horsery. And I'm just like, okay. And that's like, I could tell, like, they wanted to be friends with me. And it was just like, oh, okay. But every time I would disengage and kind of go back, to myself, and, conversation was over, it was always like, ugh, like, I feel like shit. Like, we were just talking crap about somebody or about a situation, or it was just constant sort of like negativity. And I was just like, I don't need this in my life. And I slowly sort of just like let that person go their own way, and I went my own way, and I was just like, you know what, it's fine. It's just not going to work out. That's not what I'm vibing with as an adult anymore. So setting that boundary, understanding that you have needs and it's okay to say no. My coach says this, and I love her for it. No is a complete sentence. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to give a litany of reasons as to why you're saying no, or, oh, no, thank you. No, I'm good. Just no. No can be a complete sentence. And if you need to say no to something, when I was younger, I said yes to everything, especially if it was a party, because it's like, you got your friends, you just want to be out. And most of the time I really did want to be out. And like I said, I did have an issue with alcohol. So anytime I had a chance to drink, I was like, let's go get drunk. So it was just like, yeah. But it was like, what I didn't stop to think about was that I was wearing myself out. Of course, the level of alcohol that I was, the level of alcoholism I was starting to reach as a young adult was like, not in my sort of purview yet. I wasn't thinking about the toxicity of that, the repercussions of that down the line, etc. So I was saying yes to everything until I stopped long enough when I was about 26, 27 years old to look at my life, assess, okay, like, I'm unhappy. Why am I unhappy? What needs to change here? And that's where I started learning how to say no. Like, oh, okay, maybe I don't need to go to this party. Okay, maybe I don't need to go out this weekend. Okay, maybe I don't actually like it when you touch my hair. You guys, PSA, people with curly hair don't want you to touch their hair. I can't tell you how many times as a child. So my hair didn't get curly. I have, you guys have seen me. I have some very, very curly locks. My hair did not get curly until I was about 10 years old. I used to have, like, I was born with bone straight hair, and then somewhere, I think it was like 4th or 5th grade, my hair decided to just get curly, and it went from like, Pocahontas to Coheed and Cambria, like, overnight. And now I have like, I've got all my ways, I've got all my products, I know how to deal with curly hair, and I absolutely love my hair. But when I was a kid, I didn't know how to deal with it. But anyway, it's always been big. Like, it's always just been big curls. As I've gotten into my 30s, it's starting to thin out a little bit, thank God. But it's still, nice and fluffy and curly, and I'm obsessed. But either way, don't fucking touch my hair. People think that they can be like, oh my God, your hair's so pretty. And they just start petting it. And they're just, oh, how'd you get it to do that? Is that your real hair? And I'm like, first of all, we've talked about this. Physical touch is not my fucking favorite. So don't touch me. But also, personal space. You guys, do not come up to a person with curly hair and start fluffing and poking at their hair. First of all, don't invade somebody's personal space like that. And second of all, ask if and probably they're going to be like, no, don't touch it, because if you like start fluffing someone's curly hair, it's just going to get bigger, and most of us don't want that. So PSA, don't just go touching people's curly hair. Maybe that was just something that happened when I was younger, because I haven't had anybody do that in a really long time, or maybe I just have a big fuck off on my forehead. But personal space is a boundary. Whatever the boundary is, communicate that. Say no when you need to say no. Say yes when you want to say yes. Tell people what you need, oh no, guys, you're gonna go to another bar. I'm actually really tired. I'm gonna head home tonight. And let's say the friends, oh no, come on, come on. Don't give in to that shit. Like if you want to go home, go home. That's your boundary, right? No, I'm good. You guys continue to have a good night. I'm ready to go to sleep. I'm gonna step out. I'm gonna go home. Hold steady in your boundaries because again, when you continue to show up for your boundaries, you are sending yourself, your brain, everything, the message that you're worthy of that boundary, that you're worthy of saying no, that you're worthy of getting what you need, having your needs met, okay? No one else is going to meet your needs for you. You have to meet them for yourself. So if you don't want to go out for the extra 2 hours that your friends are going to go out, just say no and hold firm in that boundary. My dog just started barking, and I really hope that you don't hear that. We're again working on the technology here, but until then, Ella thinks she needs to tell us that there's neighbors. We know. All right. Last one, you guys. Number six. Number 6 in terms of cultivating a stronger sense of self-worth. Celebrate your wins. Okay? Celebrate your strengths. Celebrate your wins. I started doing this practice, I think a year ago. I got into doing something called a money party. Now this grew out of, my need and my desire to like get a handle on my finances. I started reading this book. It's called Financial Adulting by Ashley Fernstein-Gerstley. I hope I'm saying that right. She is a wonderful financial advisor. She sends like a weekly email. She's got a couple of books, really good content. Not an ad. I just love her work. So she does something called a money party. And at the end of every month, I will what's today? So we're coming up on the end of February. So March 1st, March 2nd, I'm going to sit down, go through all of my charges through February, categorize them and keep them in a spreadsheet. It's just like a way to keep track of understanding where my money is going, how I'm spending my money, where I need to make changes going into the next month, whatever. In addition to that practice, I also have like a separate spreadsheet and I make a list of all of my like wins for that month. Like, okay, I did the money party. Like that's a win. I started this podcast. I recorded however many episodes. Like, I PR'd at Cycle Bar this week. Like I'll keep a list of these like little bitty wins. I actually did PR at Cycle Bar last night, you guys. I was like so excited. So I based my personal records on how much average power I've pushed for the class. And I think some people push way higher than this, but comparison is not the name of the game here, you guys. Compare to yourself. So my previous power score was 112, and last night I hit 117. So I was like 5 points higher, and I was like, yes. So that's going on the board or going in the spreadsheet. That was a win for the week. There was a week that I hit all of my macros. That's a win for the week. So just keep a little list of your wins. And then when you are feeling away, or even just if you're doing like a money party or something like me and you go back and you look, or even at the end of the year, you go back and you look and you're like, holy shit, I actually did do all of this stuff. It's so important to focus on what you have done and be in the mindset of the gain. If I haven't talked about it yet, there's a book called The Gap and the Gain. I cannot remember the author. I'm going to have to remember that because I feel like I reference this book all the time. Gap versus the gain. If you're in the gap, you are comparing your current self to where you have yet to go. You're like, damn, I still got to get there. And there's like this huge chasm. Like it's a big gap. I got this huge gap between where I am now and where I want to get. I'm recording this podcast on my phone and I want to get to a place where it's in like a nice studio with the good lighting and everything is all set up and blah, blah, blah. And if I were to continuously compare myself against that, I might not even show up to do this because I'd be like, damn, I'm not doing it right. I'm imperfect and it's crap and blah, blah, blah. But the point is to measure yourself instead against the gain here versus where you were. And where I was somebody who couldn't even sit down and do this. And I'm like, that is monumental. That is monumental change that I've made to get to this place. And while, yes, I want to keep my focus on, the things and the goals that I want to reach because I'm an Enneagram 4 with a wing 3, so I've got that little bit of like achiever wing over here where I'm just like, I'm just going to get to the next thing. I'm always like trying to achieve something. But it's like, if I focus on that gap, I'm going to be in a sense of lack because I'm focusing on the lack. But if you are instead focusing on the gain, the things that you've gained, the things that you have succeeded at, you're celebrating your wins, all the tiny wins. You are focused on that abundance. And when you focus on abundance, you create more of it in your life, because now you're like, ooh, what's another thing that I can do this week? Like if you are just so focused on like the gratitude, things that you have, what you've got, you got a roof over your head. I've got a cute sweater, like whatever, like I've got tons of books and art, and I've got this home that I've built with partner that I love. And it's like, focus on what you have, not what you don't have. Celebrate those wins and remind yourself that you were worthy enough to do that. You are worthy enough and capable enough and just enough in general to do more. That was a big one for me, especially at the beginning of my journey. Like that sort of core wound for me was that I wasn't enough for anything. Well, I guess I'm not enough for that. Well, I guess I'm not enough for that. Well, I guess I'm not I'm not thin enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not fast enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not, whatever enough. All of the things. It's just enough. I wasn't enough at all. And that dug into my sense of worthiness. They kind of go hand in hand. If you're feeling like you're not worthy, you're probably feeling like you're not enough. So it's like working on that self-worth, working on telling yourself and sending yourself the message that like you're worth the work, you're worth the time, will start to cultivate a stronger sense of like, no, yeah, I'm worth the work. I got this. I am enough. I am enough just as I am already. I have to, like I said earlier, show up. You have to show up. Love yourself through the evolution from point A to B to C to D. Because again, it's going to take time. It takes patience. It takes steps, baby steps. Again, this doesn't happen overnight, guys. You don't just start with the affirmations and overnight you're like, yeah, I'm worthy. Like I'm worthy. You can't just, there's no fake it till you make it. Like I don't want to say I hate that phrase because I think it has its time and its place, but like, I think it's more about just showing up until you feel it, right? So having, for instance, with this, it's like just me having the courage to show up and do this until I get the confidence that it's like, okay, I know what I'm doing now. I'm getting a little more confident on the camera, but I'm still a little like, ooh, like I don't have like a good set yet, and all the technology is like blah, and maybe you're hearing my dogs bark in the background and blah, but it's like I'm still showing up and doing the thing because I promised myself that I would. I'm worthy of doing this work. I'm worthy of like making my dreams come true, of getting to the place where it is what I want it to be. And one day, guys, we'll just next video, whatever, we'll show up, we'll have the chair and the set. Like, no, it's not gonna be next video, it's gonna take time, but you see what I'm saying? You see what I mean? It's about showing up for yourself and just creating that new neural pathway for yourself that you are worthy of the time and the effort. Do the things. You're worth it. Tell yourself that you're worth what it takes. And that's it. And then, if you want to throw in some affirmations, I love an affirmation. I am worthy. I am enough. Post-its, mirror, put it on there. Mel Robbins has a practice. I tried this. Maybe it works for some people. It was working for me for a minute, but it just wasn't something that I like stuck to. She has this, and this is a whole book on it. It's called The High Five Habit by Mel Robbins. You high five yourself in the mirror. Every morning, you do your routine, you take care of your hygiene, and then you high five yourself in the mirror. It's a message. You're sending, you're grooving a new neural pathway and sending a message to yourself that like, I got me. I don't need validation from anyone else. I got me, right? It's showing up for yourself. It's being your own source of safety. It's being your own cheerleader. It's validating yourself. It's saying like, I got me. I got you. I see you. You're trying, you're doing your best, and I'm coming to you. I'm showing you the compassion. I'm here to stay. We're going to keep showing up. I got you. So you high five yourself in the mirror, and that's sort of like the message that you're sending to yourself. So stuff like that does help, having your affirmations. I think gratitude practice is another one that can really help with your self-worth. Again, it's that idea of recognizing what you have, celebrating those strengths, that gap versus gain mindset. Be in the gain mindset, that like, here's what I've gained, right? Be in that gratitude for the things that you have, the things that you've done, and you will cultivate more abundance by getting into that abundance mindset. It sounds simple, but it's hard. It really is. And I'm saying that as someone who's been there. This is not something that I started doing perfectly. Again, consistency doesn't look like showing up on day, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all perfect. It might look like showing up on day 1 and 2 and half-ass on day 3 and not at all on day 4, and then showing up again on day 5 and then half-ass on day 6. Consistency isn't about perfection. It's about the progress that you make. So if you're working on your self-worth, you're not going to get this perfectly. You're not going to show up every day with compassion. Someday you might still call yourself a dumbass and tell yourself you're not worth whatever. And like, you have to then stop yourself though. Stop yourself and say like, oh wait. Reminder, catch yourself. No, don't talk to myself like that, right? Like you create the pause and you learn over time to change the message that you're sending yourself, change the language that you're using with yourself. It just takes time. It takes time, as with all things. And one of the greatest things I've ever heard, like literally foundation rattling for me, if I haven't said it here before, I know I've said it in the community, but I'll say it here again. The journey is what is meant to be achieved. You guys, God, it still gives me goosebumps. The destination, the goals, that's the compass point. When it was for me, I found, inner peace. Like when I was working on inner peace, healing trauma, that was the goal. But the journey is what it's meant to be achieved. The day in and the day out, right? Those little moments of change, those little moments of compassion, of setting a boundary, of taking care of myself, stack up until one day you do wake up and you're new, right? One day you will wake up and you're new, but it takes time. So, and if you believe that you can, by God, guys, you will. If you believe that you can't, then you won't even try. But if you believe that you can, you will start taking those steps. So that's what I've got for you tonight. I hope that you took something from that. I hope that was chaos. I hope the dogs didn't come in. I hope you didn't hear that the way that I heard that. I don't know. We'll see. There's neighbors. Mom, we got to let you know there's neighbors outside. My dogs are wily. So anyway, that's what I've got for you guys tonight. I hope that you took something good from that. And if you dug it, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with a friend. If you feel like you have a friend or a family member or a coworker or somebody in like a community that you're a part of and you want to share this with them, please do so. And if you want to be part of a community of like-minded individuals that are all on health and wellness journeys and doing healing work and just like striving to work on themselves, check out my Full Circle Wellness community on Facebook. I will link all of that stuff in the comments down here below the YouTube video. And that's it, you guys. That's what I've got for you this week. I will see you next time. Until then, be well. I love you. Thank you for showing up.